The video the group chose was a clip from the legal drama The Practice. There are two lawyers stating their claims on the stance of stem cell research in this clip. The prosecutor and the defense of this case both have opposing views, and by analyzing the prosecutor, ethos, pathos, and logos can be seen and heard. The ethos of the prosecutor is already seen for the fact that he is an attorney of the topic and begins stating his claims by listing the facts of abortion, which play a massive part in the debate of stem cell research. He also states claims and facts of the human life and its early beginnings. He shows his stance on the topic initially and expands upon it with the facts that he starts his argument with. By showing that he is knowledgeable of the facts connected to stem cell research and attaching it to his argument of the topic of stem cell research itself, it shows his ethos because he sounds confident in the facts he speaks, giving him the appeal as an expert to the jury. By seeming expert in the field of stem cell research and being an attorney fighting for a side on the debate of stem cell research, this is giving him credibility to be able to speak upon the topic and be taken seriously.
Along with ethos, in the first argument presented by the prosecutor, pathos is used in order to make the jury and the judge feel a certain way regarding the simple idea of when life is started and how what the defendant is doing is a horrific act. Word choice makes his argument more powerful in order to get others to support his cause. As he presents his argument, you can see that his physical gestures become more aggressive to show how sentimental he is towards the issue. This works towards his advantage because it creates emotion. About 20 seconds into the video, he says, quote, compounded by the fears of runaway medical scientists, where high-tech tissue plants start to harvest these cells, organs, and body parts, there is every reason to fear protest and violence. End quote. By talking about what is actually going on with medical practices, accusing the doctor, it's almost like he's trying to instill in the jury's hearts that they're doing something out of the ordinary. When the prosecutor says that there is every reason for doctors to fear protest and violence, he is invoking that there should be strong feelings about this controversy. Another strong point that he raises, which has emotional appeal, is when he states, quote, to create human life for the purpose of destroying it. To say that's acceptable is to assert that human life itself has no intrinsic value, that it is not sacred. And once society accepts that value, God help us. End quote. While he was saying the last part of this quote, before he said, God help us, there was a short pause where he was shaking his head and looking down at the ground. It can easily be seen that he's trying to invoke some type of fear or sorrow upon the audience. The objective is to put the audience in the mindset that if we go down this path, something tragic may happen. The the key point that he makes at the end of his accusations when he said, quote, what these people are doing in these test tubes and petri dishes is an atrocity and a violation against humanity, end quote. He directly calls out the doctor by pointing his fingers directly to him, squinching his eyes, and it's like he's almost trying to cause a scene. It is his final remark, so the prosecutor has to make sure that he leaves a strong impression on the jury. It is almost like he's trying to get other people aroused through his loud voice and bold gestures.
In the video, the prosecution makes use of the logos rhetorical technique. The prosecution tries to use logic to persuade the court in favor of his side. His side is against stem cell research and is trying to persuade the court that no person should be allowed to experiment with human life. To do so, he first brings up a definition. He brings up when human life starts. He argues that, quote, human life begins at the embryo stage, regardless of one's position on abortion, or whether an unborn should have rights or whether it becomes a person. Human life begins upon conception, unquote. The prosecution asserts that once a sperm and an egg meet and combine, the life cycle of the organism, or in this case the human, begins. He further enforces his main point by saying that regardless of all other factors, one thing remains the same, and that is the starting point of human life. Upon defining the start of human life, the prosecution asserts that no other being should have the right to mess around with life, just for the purpose of eventually killing it off through research and experimentation. By asserting certain facts, such as when a life cycle begins, he is able to continue with this point with good flow that no human being should be allowed to tamper with another life cycle. Finally, to end off the argument, the prosecution presents a hypothetical that if such research was indeed okay to perform, then it would also assert that human lives have no value or worth whatsoever, and that is against the ideals of the American nation.